we struggle with that. Like the oversharing just pours out of us naturally. And for Germans, it's like, it's too much, guys. It's too much. This is Emin. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are all having an awesome day so far. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Diana, and I am a Canadian expat living and working in Berlin, Germany for the last 4 years. If you're into things about the German culture or even planning your own move to Germany, make sure to stick around. And if you're not new, welcome back, guys. I hope that you're having an awesome day. Today, we are gonna be talking about making friends with Germans quickly. I'm gonna share with you guys my tips for how to get into the German friendship scene or social scene as quickly as possible. And I know for a lot of you that are planning your move here or you're thinking about moving here, you probably have heard of the German stereotype, or you're probably nervous about this stereotype that Germans are not very warm, they're not very welcoming, it's difficult to make friends here. And I know that it's something that a lot of foreigners and expats worry about, including myself when I first moved here, because I had always heard these stereotypes. And I gotta say, to be completely honest, these stereotypes are quite true, and even Germans know that it takes time for them to build friendships and to warm up to people. So I'm going to be sharing with you some tips to help you break down the cultural barriers as quickly as possible, because it is so important when you move to a new country that you're able to build strong friendships, strong connections, and that's going to make you feel part of the culture. It's going to make you embrace your new surroundings, and you're going to be able to enjoy this whole experience. So I want to give you the tips. I don't know why I'm doing this. My hands move a lot. So to start off, I want to talk about my own personal experience over the last 4 years. I have definitely gone through the roller coaster of ups and downs of trying to connect with people. And I've definitely learned a lot, because at the very beginning, I was very open and I thought, people would be very open towards me too. I, came into the country just thinking I could be, overly friendly, which, people here don't really like too much. And it did make it a bit harder to make those connections at the very beginning. But now, 4 years later, I have been able to build strong relationships, and I have built these strong connections. So it is possible. And there is a saying that once you make a friend, a German friend, you make a friend for life. And I really think that is true. Back home in North America, in Canada, in the US, it's very common to be able to make friendships really quickly. You can meet somebody at a party or at work, and you can pretty much be friends within an hour, or say that you're friends, make plans for the future, and you can have those connections right away. But they do sometimes tend to fizzle out very quickly as well. Whereas here, if you make a friend with a German, it's going to take you a bit longer to get to that point where you're going to be making plans and you're going to be hanging out and you're going to have inside jokes. But once you do break through that initial hurdle, you will have a solid friendship at the end of it. You will be able to make the genuine connections. You will be able to have a friend that you can depend on, rely on, someone that's going to be there for you for the long term, and not just for, a few weeks or a few months. It's going to be a long-lasting friendship. So there is hope. Just know that if you are struggling right now, keep at it, because at the end of it, you will get a good friend out of this whole ordeal that you may be experiencing at the beginning. I know, especially for cultures that are very open, specifically like Latin American cultures, I know people really struggle with that here. Also, even Middle Eastern cultures. I was recently in an Uber and I was talking to the driver, and he is Middle Eastern, and he said he's been living here for I think it was more than 10 years. And he did find that Germans were very cold at the beginning, and even his German neighbors were very cold towards him. He said he has 3 neighbors on his floor. One of them is German, the other one's Italian, and the other one is Mexican. And the Italian and the Mexican neighbor, they're always, really welcoming, and they ask about his life and about his family. And the Germans, they just say hi or Morgan, and that's it. The conversation doesn't go more than that. So for people coming from cultures where it's much more embracing or much warmer, it can be a culture shock to deal with Germans, because by nature, they're not going to be that warm and embracing. They really do like to keep to themselves. And a lot of expats struggle with that when meeting people at work or maybe through social events, because again, they're not going to open up to you as quickly as possible. So let me jump into the tips in case you are struggling right now or you're just prepping for your move here. So one of the first tips that I have is to try to speak German to the person that you're meeting. Even if your German is terrible, even if you know the very basics, just a couple of words, if you are able to throw some German in there and you are showing that you are making an effort to learn their language or to relate to them on their language, I find that Germans really, really appreciate that. Even if they decide to speak to you in English afterwards because they hear that you're struggling, they really just like the fact that you are making an effort to embrace their culture and embrace their language. It's also just a sign of respect. So I know for a lot of expats, it can be really easy to just default to English all the time, including myself. I've gone through this as well, but I have found that the times that I have made an effort to, add words here and there in German, or just show that I am making an effort to understand the culture, understand the language, ask questions about the culture and the language, then Germans really open up a lot quicker and they really appreciate it. And you'll find that they'll also try to help you out as well. So if you make, grammatical mistakes or you don't say words correctly, they will correct you and they'll try to help you through that. The second tip that I have is, not gonna lie, a mistake I made, I think in my first day here. I was an oversharer, you guys. And I didn't think I was an oversharer because by nature, I'm very much an introvert. But I guess for German standards, I was an oversharer. Definitely not by Canadian or American standards. I'm very much, quiet. But here I was like blabbing away, sharing too much about my personal life, just going really into detail about stories or things that happened or what I had just, experienced, blah, 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 blah. Like I went on and on and on when I would meet people here. And I didn't get the social cues that they really weren't into that at the beginning. And that is a sure way to scare people off here. If you are going to overshare and be too open, Germans, they don't know how to process that. To them, they want to get to know you on a slower level. They don't want to know everything about your life right away. They want to get bits of information to see if it's worth the effort for them. But if you overshare at the very beginning, it's just not going to go well. So just ease into any conversation that you are having. Don't be overly loud. Don't overshare too much, because it's just gonna make it a lot harder for you to make those connections. Now, when I say this, I like to preface it or emphasize that you shouldn't lose your personality. You shouldn't, shy away, be quiet, not say anything. You definitely do want to be yourself, but maybe just tone it down a bit and just ease into it slowly. It's just a cultural norm, and when you are in a different culture, you have to respect the way that the culture is, and you have to embrace it more. So just look at it that way rather than looking at it as you having to completely change your personality. Because once you are able to make that friendship, or you are able to get to a deeper level with a German or whoever you're speaking with, then you can overshare and you can go really into depth about things, and that's perfectly okay. Another tip that I have, if you're meeting somebody at work or at a party, at a social event, a networking event, whatever it may be, is to ask the person about their life. Now, I'm not talking about asking them about their relationship or their political views or talking in depth about current events. More so ask them simpler things like, what are your hobbies? What university did you go to? Where did you grow up? Ask things like that. I find that those questions are not too intrusive, but you can still get to know somebody, and that person will still be willing to talk, and they'll be willing to open up to you if they can see that you are genuinely interested. And then once you start talking for a longer period, or you see each other later on, then you can go into more deep conversations like relationships, like family, and all of that other stuff that people here just typically don't open up about at the very beginning. The other tip that I wanted to share, if you want to make friendships quickly here and you want to meet people quickly as well, is to join clubs or to take up some sort of hobby. Hobbies and clubs are massive here. Germans love to have hobbies. They love to join clubs related to specific activities or interests that they have, and you can pretty much find a club for any type of interest that you have, whether that be basketball or swimming or knitting or gardening, whatever it may be. There's going to be a club in your area for that particular interest. So if you want to meet like-minded people and have common ground with people and make friendships quicker, then definitely look into these clubs and take up a hobby, because that's going to get you in as quickly as possible, and it's going to just break down a lot of barriers. These social clubs and clubs for your hobbies is not something I was very used to. We don't really have that back home. If you go to classes or clubs, it's usually when you're younger, but as an adult, you don't really have clubs to go to. But here it is super, super popular, and you can find a club regardless of what age group you're in, and again, regardless of what interest you have. So that's a sure way to meet people really, really fast here. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any other tips on how to make friendships in Germany, if you are German and you want to share your tips, or if you've gone through this process, definitely let me know down below. I would love to hear your tips. And again, the comment section is an open section for all of us to have convos, help each other out, get to know each other. So let me know your thoughts down below. And if you're new to the channel, definitely make sure to stick around if you're interested in all things Germany and learning about the German culture, or actually moving here to work and to study. So yeah, hit the subscribe button if you're new and give this video a thumbs up. And that's gonna be all for today, you guys. Again, I hope that you're having an awesome day, and don't get discouraged if you're struggling to make friends here. Good friendships take time, they take effort, and trust me, at the end of it, there's a rainbow, there's sunshine, there's butterflies. It may take some time, but you're gonna get there, especially if you follow these tips. So yeah, I hope that you guys have an awesome one, and I'll talk to you all in my next one. Tschüss!